about the essence of what is. And so the concept that human beings are rational animals is kind of lifted as part of that reflection. But that's not all metaphysics is. It's not just a reflection, it's also a decision. A decision takes place regarding the essence of truth. Okay? So metaphysics happens when, think about the word decision here in terms of definition. I'm going to decide that there are things out there in the world that we call animals. They're organic, and then there are all these other things that aren't animals and they're inorganic. So in that kind of activity, what we have happening is a decision. Okay? And the decision takes place regarding the essence of truth. There's a lot more to say about this, but I just want to get you the general idea. Metaphysics grounds an age, and in that, through a specific interpretation of what is, and through a specific comprehension of truth, it gives to that age the basis upon which it is essentially formed. Now, if you think about this idea long enough, it's essentially going to lead you to this idea that when we change our notion of the human, when we move from something like the human to the post-human, that what seems to be happening is that we're moving from one specific interpretation to a different interpretation, right? About what the nature of what is, right? Or what is the case, or what might be the case, okay? And we're comprehending the very concepts that we use to assess the thing that we're defining differently. I know that's a little abstract and spacey, okay? Imagine this, imagine that all being is a vast ocean. Okay, what does a metaphysician do? A metaphysician would be someone like who casts a net off from the boat and scoops up everything that it can find in that net and pulls it up and it says, this is everything that is. I've got a sample here of everything that is. What the metaphysician is unaware of, though, is that the net might not capture everything. But there's all kinds of things that escape the grasp of that net in this vast ocean. Okay? So the idea here is that when we're talking about human beings as rational animals, we're thinking we've got a sense of the totality of all the possibilities of what it means to be human. But in fact, that very decision, that very definition, is based on something, on a practice that can't quite grasp it all. Is that making some sense, vaguely? Yeah.
Why is there a division? And what I mean is, like,
why is there a
division between both beliefs? Why isn't there like a third category that says, well, there is a God, and He created life so that it would evolve?
Well, there could be. In fact, lots of people hold that view.
Yeah.
Right. And so, in my simple way of my fast, quick way of getting to it, that's a very common position. But the point is that people who hold that position still agree to this definition. Okay. They're still operating inside of this particular discourse. So, and I can imagine, right, to get back to a point Damien made a second ago, I can imagine that some of you may have sets of beliefs that would make it very possible for you, whether they're religious beliefs or not, to reject this description, okay? But others might say, no, I have to hold on to this in some way, okay? So I can imagine that there's a plurality of response to this, because maybe your sense of the human is drawn from this other approach that thinks of our humanity as something involving our mortality.
But even that, just mortals and rational animals, I think, don't describe what it means to be human either, to them, really.
No, I don't think we'll ever fully grasp the human in its totality.
They're descriptive terms, but
right.
They don't necessarily describe the totality.
Yeah, right. They're descriptive, and they'll never be fully adequate. And the reason why, in part, is because of possibility. Right? One of the things that seems to be an aspect, an essential component of our humanity, whatever it is that we're always open to the possibility that it could be something else. So in this way, what seems to be a characteristic of the human is futurity, the future. It's undeterminable.
But I think,
and therefore, metaphysics and metaphysical practices can never fully control the game because of the way in which we are radically beings wrapped up with possibility.
have you got all that? Ready for your argument?
I'm glad we have this on.
But this is, I like that definition, this idea. I've read about half of this Heidegger one, and I didn't quite get it, but that's clear. That's even cleared some of it up. I might agree. the age of this was the age of the world picture. Even that, even you describing that has kind of cleared some of it up. I may have another go at this one. But I do like that idea of finding a definition of, almost a societal, cultural definition of a certain age that changes and looking back at how it changed. I really like that analogy with writing.
If you're interested in the writing thing, there's a beautiful book, it's not terribly long, it's called Orality and Literacy by a Jesuit, his name is Walter Ong, O-N-G, and he talks about the changes in consciousness that occur with the rise of writing, writing as a technology.
So it'd be interesting to think of any other kind of technologies that have changed us as a human race. What other technology? I mean, this is in some ways the very first question we asked you in that little discussion group, to which the answer was fermentation.
Yeah, and staplers. I think I suggested paper clips.
Paper clips. Yeah. Anything you want to respond to that, your group, or any points?
I don't think so.
No?
I did pull up my notes, but I believe you're out of time.
What time is it?
Did you want to say, no, we have 20 minutes.
Oh, so,
But did you want to say something more
Well,
about Catherine Hales?
For Hales, I really liked what she said about the mind-body, how the human race it goes in a feedback loop with technology, how both influence the other, and how the technology changes our neural pathways and our stature, and that evolves further into the human that would be the post-human. Like, we have new neurons that we never needed before, neural connections, pathways that we never needed before because we didn't have that technology. So my neural pathways and just how they work are drastically different than my mother's, just because of the technology I use. So I really liked what she had to say about that, and about the connection of consciousness and thought with the body, not just as the shell.
I will put some Donna Haraway and Catherine Hales on the canvas side, but I've got obviously the Cyborg Manifesto from Donna Haraway is an obvious one.
Right, I have it too. I don't have it scanned yet. So
It's
if you have it, we should go.
I think I have a digital copy of it somewhere, but there's a certain point I remember I got to. It's a hard read.
Yes. It's very hard.
Yeah.
I think my write-up for that was, it sounds awesome if I only could know what she was talking about.
Yeah. It's the one in one of her points where there was one of the subnotes where she starts to discuss one affinity group at the Women's Action called themselves the Surrogate Others, and in solidarity with the creatures forced to tunnel into the ground with the bomb, they enacted a cyborgian emergence from the constructed body of a large non-heterosexual desert worm. And at that point I thought, I've lost it. Why do they have a large non-heterosexual desert worm? I didn't get that. But I remember reading that thinking, I got very confused with that bit. But it is an interesting document, the Cyborg Manifesto. Catherine Hales is a bit more of an easier read, I think.
Yeah.
She's less.
I've got the ones I've got here, which you tell me if you think these are okay. Computing the human, flesh and metal, reconfiguring the mind, body, and virtual environments, which is more to what we'll be doing next time, the next subject. And,
One of them was talking more about art installations, and I feel like maybe we wouldn't need all of that coming from the artist. That's interesting, but
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, those will be fine.
Those
I may also post something from her most recent book was done in 2012. It's called, I think, How We Think or something.
Yeah, I've not read that yet.
It's the book that I was referring to last week or the week before, where she puts forward this idea of technogenesis, which is the way in which our use of technology acts upon the ways in which we adapt and then kind of alters us as a species. So some of that may also be useful.
Okay. Right, we'll get one last group to start with, and then we'll carry on. Can we get back to? Why it's not going on? And project groups. Group 3. Do you have anything to discuss?
Well, we haven't decided the topic yet, but we already have discussion in there.
But do you feel like you could discuss it, or do you want to leave it till Thursday?
I had something else thinking about that. I'm kind of going. I didn't put any of this stuff up there.
There's nothing up there yet.
Yeah, we've been talking about.
Okay.
You know, at the bar a couple times, and then at the class a couple times, and always. We've been doing more like in-person discussion. I should probably go in there with more stuff.
We have an announcement, actually. We have something in announcement.
Yeah, you had put something up there.
Yeah.
Oh, and then what's it done then?
Announcement.
Announcement. Yeah. Okay, so this is creative.
Yeah, so the idea is like, well, actually it's from the TED talk, the first link.
This one?
Yeah, it's about an AI that's capable to paint something based on the picture they learn. So the AI capable to redraw a picture based on some artist style like Van Gogh or maybe.
Well, we won't. This is going to be 20 minutes long, so we're not going to watch it. So, do you want to describe it to us?
Yeah, so it's capable to paint based on the picture the AI learned, and it has some parameters that apply to the pictures like artist style or maybe the painting style like realism or more abstract.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
And the person that explained the better book explained that with the current technology, it's almost the same with intelligence of small creatures, but in I think 20 years it will be the same like human. So the AI will capable to maybe create their own painting.
But some of you have been in my, I think it's the intro class. Maybe I showed some of it. Computers creating poetry. I've shown you some of those poetry generators that create awful poetry. And this idea of creativity, computers with creativity, is a great question. It's one of the standard, I'll call it a pub argument against AI, the basic surface level arguments. Humans are creative, computers cannot be creative. But from a person who's been involved with artificial intelligence, the way I always think of it is we're looking at a system. Hubert Dreyfus had the argument that computers will never be able to play chess because he believed chess was a creative activity. And then he got beaten by a computer program. And I know I said this before, but what we'd actually done is broken down the rules of chess into a format. What we can actually do is we can look at Jackson Pollock paintings and abstract paintings and break them down mathematically into their structure of how they are built and when you study them you can say this is a good painting, this is a bad painting, and you can work out. And we can create machines that can create paintings.
And Adam and I had precisely that conversation, and he was talking about how computers couldn't parallel humans in terms of emotion.
Yeah, there's an emotional aspect to it. But this in some way is the chess argument again. The computer doesn't know it's won when it plays chess. It doesn't know it's created a painting and doesn't have any emotional attachment to that painting, which is part of the reason we like a painting is the artist's potentially emotional involvement with it. And I think it's brilliant that we have an artist and computer scientist in the same group to argue this point.
I mean,
Richard.
Isn't Dreyfus right at some point? Isn't Dreyfus right at some point that a computer will never play chess? I mean, he's clearly playing the computer at chess, right? But it doesn't make much sense in ordinary language, does it, to say that the computer is playing?
We can get into semantics of is the process
Well,
of playing, moving
I
the
guess
pieces, or
here-
the act of winning.
Well, let me think if I can, maybe I can make the point, not sure, if I suggested in Dreyfus's defense of, imagine those machines that just sort of throw tennis balls at you, they propel tennis balls at you with some kind of a device that's limiting or adjusting or altering the distance and the speed and all that, the angle, the trajectory. I might be playing tennis, if it's giving me the workout, but it's not playing tennis. Isn't that asymmetry sort of the same asymmetry that Dreyfus is talking about?
Possibly. Richard had a comment, I think, so
I think we should revel in these machines that act as machines and are really wonderful to have around. And we should also revel in us as humans who don't have the memory that the machines do, and who have biases because they have emotions. And so to me, I would say we should be very happy about the differences and not try to make machines do what they cannot do, and try not to make humans do things that they cannot do.
I disagree. See, to me, the interesting problem is getting machines to do the things that they can't do at the moment. That's the challenge. I want to make them do that.
I detected that. I have got to disagree. And that's fun, And
I collect artwork. I have a lot of paintings in my house, and I don't have any that were done by computer. I collect abstract art, so I don't have computer generated paintings. So. And I have emotional attachment to them mainly because I know the stories of who created them. So it's important to me as well. So I'm playing devil's advocate in some ways.
I'm sorry?
I'm playing devil's advocate to argue with
is that? Is that true that you were playing devil's advocate?
A little bit, because I collect art and I don't,
Right.
and I value the emotional attachment with the artist.
Right.
Does that mean I wouldn't like a piece of art that was generated by a computer if it was a good piece of art? I think I would still like it.
Well, that's a nice way of putting it, and yeah, to that extent, I would like it. I use the computer all the time to make my work, but I need to intervene, and if I don't, then I don't get that joy. I need to get.
Sorry, we're getting into, there's a very good discussion here that you guys obviously can talk about. Generative art is a huge discipline. One of my PhD students in Australia, if you want to come and talk to me, does generative art, converting music into paintings, for example, things like that. Craig Grace's work, have you seen his paintings in iPad? So, this kind of transformation of art to different forms. Very interesting area, but you need, again, focus on the question. Sorry, Anthony, you've been waiting
Oh,
to
no,
talk.
sorry. And that's the next step for us, reeling it in, I think. But Patrick,
Yeah.
your expression before about you thought that computers could never produce art, is that?
I don't think I said that.
Yeah.
I was just coming.
You gave the example.
He said chess. He said the computer wasn't playing chess or
Oh,
wasn't
never
playing
played
tennis.
I was just coming to Dreyfus's defense. I don't know if I was asserting it as my own argument, but I think the position I was taking is that although it might be appropriate to say that Dreyfus plays chess against the computer, I don't think it's ever appropriate, it may not be appropriate in Dreyfus's language to say that a computer plays chess. A computer computes, right? And it's not having the experience of playing. I'm open to the possibility maybe Dreyfus isn't. I'm open to the possibility
So by the
that he was
same
having some
token,
kind of experience.
so by the same token, Richard paints, but the computer isn't painting.
The computer would be computing, and it would, its computational processes would be producing something that we would call a painting.
Of course, I think the terminology there is problematic, as you say, the computer computes, but of course it's a computer. But,
Right, the painter paints,
The what?
and the painter paints.
Right. But I guess the only issue that I have with any of that, and I agree, I guess, with everything, but that one word in there, never.
When did I say never? I think.
Or the computer will never play chess.
Yeah, I think that, I would agree with you there. I think that Dreyfus would say never.
And that's the first thing that strikes me like an argument, oh, computer will never.
And,
No.
well, understand what I'm saying though.
Right.
I'm not claiming that because a minute ago I was making the point about possibility, that one of the things that seems to be always excluded from our understanding of human beings, but often is the thing that kind of challenges any definition we might come up with, is this idea that there's something about us that's always open to possibilities that we can't anticipate. Okay, it's called it futurity or something like that. The capacity that humans have for changing into something other, right? Something other that's unanticipated. If we see that that kind of radical possibility is part of our humanity, right? That's one thing. But I think what you're pointing out is that there's also possibility for computing, for machines, and so on. So it may not be the same kind of possibility, but it may be, right? So I wouldn't want to deny a machine's possibility. I'm kind of waiting for a neural net to tell me that it's conscious. Right? And I'm willing to, I'm actually willing to say that that might be possible. I just don't think that it would be my kind of consciousness. I think it will be if neural nets evolve or develop to that point where they can be conscious and self-conscious, I think it will be consciousness and self-consciousness of a somewhat different order. And we'll just have to kind of wait and see. So I'm agreeing with you.
Certainly, and then I think it forces you to kind of tread this, or like walk this really fine line, and where you have to kind of watch what you say, because, you know, how inclusive some things are.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why I was saying it was Dreyfus, I think, who would say no.
Hold on, Matt. There was this guy's hands on forever at the back there.
Pretty much got that.
Okay.
I was just going to say, Patrick, I mean, I think we could say that a computer can never play chess, because if the computer does start playing chess, we have to assume it has some kind of consciousness, and it's probably not a computer, it's something else.
Post-computer?
When the term doesn't apply anymore, which is why I said computer is
But
problematic.
if all it's going to do is compute, and it's not actually playing chess, it's just computing, that's from a computer.
I think-
If it starts playing, it has some kind of consciousness.
It's a mind machine, it's
But
a
something
mind
else.
machine problem thing. How do you think of the human intelligence, or the human mind as a computer also, but
Well, it would be something else, wouldn't it? I mean, if you had got up and started talking.
Well, doesn't matter, then what matters is how you define play. I would
Yeah,
define
it's not
play in
really
this
that.
case is, you know, it competes in this. It doesn't have to have human competition, but it is in an active competition against someone else. Ergo is play, which is what I think, I mean,
We're getting
if we're
down to-
assuming you need to play to, you know, if we're assuming that play means you have to enjoy it, that's something completely different rather than play means you have to participate.
Yeah. It's I can write on this piece of paper, my pen can write on this piece of paper. We apply the words to either. You know, this isn't conscious. How does it know it's writing? You know, but we use the term, so.
Let me just show you one other quick thing here that might challenge a few of the things that you're saying, but not any really terrible way. What is it that makes an artist an artist?
Oh, that's a light question. Nice and easy.
It's the artwork, right? What is it that makes an artwork an artwork? The artist. This is
and
how.
the audience.
No.
No?
Now, this is how Heidegger begins that essay that I haven't yet posted for you, but that I will, called The Origin of the Work of Art. And what he's going to notice in this, just starting out in this simple way, you can add the audience in if you want, so, but if you're just starting out in this simple way, he's going to say, hey, wait a minute, we're moving in circles, this is a tautology, right? If it's the artist that makes the artwork, okay, but how do you, when you can try and still not be an artist. But finally, it's when the artwork happens, right, that the person is retroactively becomes the artist. So what Heidegger does, and he kind of extends this argument out, pulls it apart little bit by little bit, to get to this point that's kind of weird. So it's something to think about over the next couple of days. He says, art is a factor here, but we don't know what art is. Okay? So...
I think we got some artists about to argue with you on that one. No, but it's a...
I'll going to refer to you on all matters about art, Richard.
But we had this discussion the other day, I believe that 50s works of Pulp Fiction are art. I believe that I bought a piece of art off a street artist in Melbourne who had learning disabilities. Aesthetically, you could claim it wasn't art, but I claim it was art because this guy did it all his life. It's what he did. He drew. It is art.
Where he's going to end up with this, he's going to say that art is truth becoming historical.
Well, before we finish, we'll finish with this group, and we'll look at more. We'll look at some other groups. So have yourself ready on Thursday. We'll carry on with other groups. I think any advice for this particular group about questions and things, I think getting into an argument about what is art is probably a bit bigger than you really want to go. But creativity is a very interesting one, a good question to look at. And especially with the makeup of your group, I think it's a good place to go. And just try and get it down to one question, one thing, something a little bit more focused. But, yeah. And I love this one. I could